Hi, I'm Jeff Holden. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion is to highlight a nonprofit organization in each weekly episode, giving that organization an opportunity to tell their story in their words to better inform and educate the respective communities they serve, as well as provide one more tool for them to share their message to constituents and donors. Our goal is to help build stronger communities through shared voices and to both encourage and support the growth of local nonprofit organizations through podcasting. Thanks to our partners for their support in getting these stories told. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations, and Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. I'm proud to welcome our newest partner to the program, CORE, Interim and Fractional Executive Leadership, Comprehensive Back Office Support Services. We work in it so you can work on it. Visit cxore.com. Have you ever wondered what that CDC after a nonprofit's name means? Community Development Corporation. Well, then, of course, you would probably ask, what does that really mean? How about what it takes to build an inclusive, resilient food system? Well, if you ever have, then this conversation will inspire you. Alchemist CDC is incredibly ambitious, unbelievably energetic, and absolutely forward-thinking. And their leadership, Sam Greenlee, CEO, and Shannin Stein, Director of Advancement, walk us through Alchemist's evolution from a bike and cart farm stand to a regional powerhouse running multiple farmers markets, operating community food programs, incubating food entrepreneurs, and soon opening Alchemist Public Market, a visionary hub in the River District. You'll hear how Alchemist connects local farms to families in need, helps small food businesses launch and thrive, and reinvests in neighborhoods through collaboration, education, and innovative partnerships. From tackling food deserts to shaping Sacramento's future farm-to-fork economy, this episode is packed with insights, inspiration, and a look at what's coming next. Sam Greenlee, Shannin Stein, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This is going to be a most interesting conversation. I hope we can keep the cadence of words to something that is understandable because we have so much to cover. Alchemist CDC. I don't want to assume anything for our audience, but most people don't really know what the word alchemist is, or alchemy for that matter. Can you explain it for us, Sam?
Sure, absolutely. So Alchemist CDC was founded 21 years ago in 2004 by 3 grad students. And so I think the name reflects that a little bit. But the basic concept of alchemy, a middle-age practice, a practice in the Middle Ages.
Yes.
Was the pursuit of turning base metals into gold, taking something that was of little value and bringing out the value within it. So I think that was at the root of the idea, was connecting to the resources in communities and helping them to become all that they're meant to be.
Well, and how appropriate, too, for what the ground, the earth, the sun does to a seed to turn it into a food product that's edible in so many different forms, shapes, nutritional values, et cetera, for an organization like yours, as people are about to find out.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about this CDC. What does Community Development Corporation really discern differently than maybe some of the other nonprofits that we speak with?
Sure. A community development corporation, I think most people have interacted with it in the housing space. Very often a CDC is focused on building community by building housing, affordable housing. For us, it means that we are focused on work around inclusive economic development, community activation. We're building healthy, vibrant, equitable, diverse neighborhoods, and we're doing that through the local food system.
Mm-hmm. In terms of programs that are oriented toward that food system, I mean, just to look at the website is a bit overwhelming to see all the things and resources that you've got. Farmers markets, the kitchen, the Alchemist Kitchen, neighborhood empowerment, community gardens. So really at the core level of the community and an expansion out into so many other programs. Walk us through those programs if you could, not necessarily in a linear fashion, but maybe most popular to least, and how you're implementing those in the community. I know least is I don't know how to describe it.
So
Maybe most to not as used.
well, we describe it based on the spectrum of the work that we do, that everything has to start with food stability, food sovereignty, and food access. And then the opportunity through the food system comes once the food system is stabilized. So we do a lot of work in food deserts and under-resourced communities where food is scarce or where there's a lot of not access to healthy and fresh foods. And then you see us move through into other aspects, through the farmers market. So we've got food stability, but then farmers markets provide more food stability, food variety, food access, CalFresh at farmers markets. Then we move it into opportunity through the food system, through entrepreneurialism and workforce development. So we really see the work that we do as creating a really integrated collaborative food system. So not so much more popular or less popular, but definitely with different goals in mind at each kind of range of the spectrum.
And greater demand on some than others. Maybe that's
For sure.
the better way to
For
phrase
sure.
that, because a community garden is going to look very, very different than a kitchen as a resource for training people wanting to get into food services.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And even since, some of our community gardens have started, they've evolved over time based on the evolution of community needs. It's where a neighborhood once wanted a community garden because everybody wanted individual plots. People are now potentially working 2-3 jobs at a time, don't have time to do that. Food costs are going up. There's more food scarcity. So converting those plots then to our own activation to do farm stands and food pop-ups and food distribution, looking and being nimble about being able to reactivate. And I think that goes back to that community development corporation question, is that all of our work is really focused on making sure that what we're doing is reinvesting in the community and in individuals and making sure that we're being responsive as quickly as possible to what the neighborhoods we work in need.
Shannon, let me ask you a question from those community gardens. Let's say the gardens can't be maintained as much by the individuals in the community, and now you work those gardens a little bit differently. Do you see the awareness of food value, healthy food, transitioning from the community garden maybe into the markets, where people are now aware, okay, I need more of this than that?
I think, yeah, it's ease of use. I mean, and I think that that's actually a great lead into how we are now utilizing the community gardens. But I think that making sure that there are more farmers markets and farm stands available in these neighborhoods where community gardens used to be the request, making sure that there's now farmers markets and farm stands and things where it's easier to still go get produce, still make sure that it's affordable, still make sure that it's in the community, but it also doesn't require weeding and tilling and sowing
Right.
and all of that kind of fun stuff.
Time.
So time, absolutely. Time, and in some cases knowledge and other resources and funding. And so I think to be able to make sure that we are finding pathways and opportunities for food to integrate into these communities in a variety of ways is really where Alchemist hits the sweet spot. And I think that transition into from community gardens into more supporting holistically not just our programs, but our communities kind of leads into, that transition of some of our different programs, which I think one of our most exciting programs right now is Community Food Connections.
Yeah, please
Um,
walk us through
yeah.
those, because you have so many different integrations that really are progressive, so to speak. Each one connects to the other. And Sam, pick that up a little bit if you could, and walk us through those programs.
Sure. There are so many to explore, but I'll start with Community Food Connections, as Shannon mentioned. So this actually began as a collaborative partnership really quickly after the pandemic began, as there were food pantries shutting down due to,
Sure.
just lack of knowledge of how dangerous things are going to be. It was found that many people lacked the transportation to get to the remaining distribution centers. And so it really, at the same time, there were local farms who had sold to restaurants and suddenly lost their customer base as restaurants closed. So initially, it was an initiative to purchase food from local farms and help distribute that to some of the most vulnerable families in the community. Over time, that has evolved. We were the fiscal sponsor originally, and other partners moved back more toward their original programming as things reopened. and we realized that we need to keep this running, and took it on as our own program. So we're now we have a food access center based at the Cerna Center at Sac City Unified School District's
Mm-hmm.
main campus, out of which we receive, we have these collaborations. So we receive shelf-stable products from the Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services. We combine them with fresh produce we're buying from local farms. And then we work with families who are referred in by campus social workers in the school district. So they're working at schools that sometimes have 90% of students living below the poverty line, and they will send over the 5 families that are the most vulnerable in that situation. Uh, we have a team of volunteers who will deliver these groceries on a weekly basis to them. And then we have other groceries that we distribute through the social workers. They'll actually take it to the homes themselves as a chance to check in with families or make the handoff at the school campus in many cases. And so that's just one of our youngest programs. And, it's touching hundreds of families in any given month.
I can imagine just being accessible is half the battle, and knowing that there's something available for, especially for these most needy families. And you've already touched on some of the collaboration, which we'll get to in a little bit. But that right there is demonstration of the collaboration. How about some of the other programs?
Well, I mean, I will say one of the things that we're excited about that now that we're seeing some growth in that program is working with the school to start to see the real true connection between food access and food stability and continuation of education and
Mhm.
involvement in education. And so there's some really exciting ties and correlation that we're starting to put there. And I think that that brings us into kind of that next level of not just education at the school district level, but really starting to lean into more food education. And so I think that's where we evolve into our farmers markets.
Mhm.
We started out as so our longest serving employee, Davita Douglas, has been with our organization for 18 years.
That's awesome.
And Alchemist CDC really started out with Davita with a bike and a cart behind that bike, riding through Oak Park, setting up farm stands that accepted EBT. And that really is the heart and soul of the foundation of Alchemist CDC, and it's still very core to what we do. Last year, we facilitated $1.44 million worth of CalFresh and market match services at 9 markets in Sacramento County.
Mhm.
And so that is still very much at the heart and soul of what Alchemist and who Alchemist CDC is. And then as we were operating CalFresh and we facilitate as a technical administrator, a technical advisor, we facilitate CalFresh services for a number of other farm stands and farmers markets and mobile farm stands throughout the Sacramento and Yolo County region. And so about 2 years ago, an opportunity presented itself for us to get into farmers market operations. And it seemed just like a really natural segue for us as an organization. We were already very present in an operational capacity at markets in underserved communities, in food desert communities, where these markets are absolutely imperative. We're a trusted name, we're a trusted organization for resources and communication. So to be able to then kind of move into that farmers market space
Mhm.
really was a natural transition for us. And now we're at 4 farmers markets. Meadowview Farmers Market, this is our second year operating that in partnership with City of Sacramento and my Vang's office. The Florin Farmers Market, which is one of the top 10 EBT redemption markets in the nation.
Wow.
It is a remarkable market. If you ever have the chance on a Thursday morning to swing by the Florin Farmers Market, um, easily 30 to 40 vendors every Thursday, an unbelievably robust and diverse and unique shopping clientele, and some really wonderful example of direct community food benefit through EBT and the CalFresh program. It's a remarkable market and honestly survives and continues to thrive thanks to, I'm going to give him a shout out as Supervisor Patrick Kennedy,
Mhm.
who has really seen the impact of that market in particular in his district and has been a remarkable champion of continuing to keep that market thriving. And then we also operate the Rancho Cordova Farmers Market, which celebrated its highest foot traffic weekend this past weekend, which is very exciting.
And that would be in July of 2025.
July of 2025, yes,
Yes,
which was
okay.
very exciting for us. And then we just took on the Arden Arcade Farmers Market
Wonderful.
as the wonderful couple, Dan and Renee Best, are kind of starting to think maybe about retirement. We're very fortunate that they've talked to us and they've entrusted us with both the Florin Farmers Market and the Arden Arcade Farmers Market.
And is that a fee for service opportunity in terms of the way that that works back into Alchemist?
So the farmers markets, Meadowview is an exception. It has a unique grant that allows us to operate without any vendor fees. But the other markets do have vendor fees. The goal there is to be self-sustaining.
Yes.
They don't really generate enough revenue to go beyond that program, but overall they kind of sustain that main core.
Excellent.
And there are sponsorship opportunities for improvements at these markets, but yes, overall they can take care of themselves.
Oh, and the good news is we're not reliant on federal grants to
Right.
support it, which is where I was going with it, which is great because we're not going to see change for the most part in those operations that are so critical to those communities. We'll be back to learn more about the incredible work Sam and his team are doing right after we hear from the people who make this program possible.
Hello, this is Scott Thomas with Cap Trust in our Sacramento office. I specialize in working with local nonprofits and associations. Annually, we survey private and public nonprofit organizations across the country to better understand challenges they see in today's environment. In our more recent survey, we heard concerns about proper board governance, mission-aligned investment, and how to implement alternative investments. If you would like a copy of the survey or to discuss your organization, look me up, Scott Thomas at captrust.com.
I'm thrilled to have Western Health Advantage partnering with us as they do so much to support so many nonprofit agencies in our community. As a truly local health plan, you'll find individual and family options, employer options, plans for CalPERS and Medicare Advantage. From medical services to pharmacy, health and wellness support, as well as behavioral health care, Western Health Advantage has a plan that fits what you need. As an employer, for profit or nonprofit business, individual or family, you can find more at westernhealth.com. I'm speaking with Darrell Teat, CEO of CORE. Welcome to our family of partners.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We are really excited to be part of the family and contribute to the work that you all are doing.
What is CORE all about?
CORE provides fractional and interim executive services, along with comprehensive back office solutions that go into our client sites and do the work to give them the capacity they need in order to move through transitions, whether that's planned or unplanned. Or companies also work with our accounting and finance, back office solutions, human resources, technology, and administration.
Why are these services such a lifesaver for small and mid-sized organizations?
Great question, Jeff. The reason why our back office solutions add value is because we save them time and money, anywhere from 20 to 30% of what they would spend on that back office solution. We work in it so they can actually work on it.
I have to believe that there's somebody right now listening and thinking, I could use that kind of help. What's the best way to get in touch with you, Darrell?
The best way is at our website, cxore.com, and contact me directly at dteat@cxore.com.
Darrell, thank you for your investment and commitment to supporting our messaging. And if you're interested in learning more about how CORE may help your organization, visit cxore.com. Collaboration. Actually, no, we still have a couple more programs. I don't want to move on without missing these.
We have one more key program, and that is
Yes.
Alchemist Kitchen.
Yes.
Absolutely, which is really the heart of the creation of what is evolving into our economic development department. And so Alchemist Kitchen has two core programs, which is Alchemist Micro Enterprise Academy and Alchemist Kitchen Incubator Program. That also has evolved into us opening a commercial kitchen on El Camino in North Sacramento, where a number of the participants who are in AMA and or AKIP actually do their food production.
And for the benefit of those who don't know AMA and AKIP.
Alchemist Micro Enterprise Academy and Alchemist Kitchen Incubator Program. And
Thank you.
and we call our participants in the AKIP program AKIPers.
Okay. Okay. What is the scope of that program?
So the program really begins with the Micro Enterprise Academy. It is an introductory course for anyone looking to explore starting a food business. This is their crash course. It's a 12-week course, 2 classes a week, has homework assignments. It's pretty intensive, but it is really meant to provide the fundamentals for starting a successful food business. We specifically target working with folks from communities that are under-resourced, folks who have great work ethic, great recipes, great ideas. They don't necessarily have an uncle who can invest in their business startup idea. And so we get a broad range. We get people who have an idea for a product, and we get people who've been in business for 3 years, making sales, but they're not making money. They realize they don't have a business plan. And so we bring in local experts. There are collaborations across the board throughout that program to really cover the key fundamentals of starting a business, from small business banking to food safety to permitting to marketing. And by the time they graduate from that program, they will have at least a first draft of their business plan, which just sets them up so much further for success. Graduates from that program are perpetually eligible to apply for our incubator. If they get into that, it is anywhere from 2 to 5 years of really individualized, personalized coaching, technical assistance, and mentorship. They get set their own milestones, their own goals for what they hope to achieve in the program. And that program rapidly accelerates folks. So we get someone who had an idea for a product a year ago, and 8 months into the incubator program, it's permitted, it's being produced legally, and it's on a local store shelf at the Sacramento Natural Foods Co-op.
Right.
Or they might be selling at the Midtown Farmers Market.
Yeah, I saw some of the praise for that program on the website, and it's kind of neat. What would have taken maybe 3 or 4 years for somebody who's struggling and slogging through it, gets it out in less than a year. And I'm assuming this is volunteer-based. The incoming resources are volunteer-based for the people who are going through the program. You have a lot of
For like the
restaurateurs
so we have,
and
yes,
things of that
so
nature. Yes.
for AMA in particular, for the Micro Enterprise Academy, we rely very heavily on volunteer experts who, exactly, restaurateurs, commercial real estate experts, financial experts who come in and present to the class. And then we also have our internal coaches who also kind of help keep things along, clarify questions, and are the kind of the baseline of the consistency throughout the program if there are questions or needs. One of the things that I do find interesting too that I think is great about AKIP, so I love this statistic. I need to make sure I credit it correctly because I don't remember exactly where it came from, but I was listening to NPR recently and they said that a study came out that showed that small businesses that participate in incubator programs are 44% more likely to succeed.
Huge number.
It's huge. It's remarkable. And so having a program specifically focused around food entrepreneurial businesses in the farm to fork capital for under-resourced food entrepreneurs just seems like something you'd be surprised that we should have more of that.
Yes.
And so this program really fills an important niche in our region in making sure that, as we like to say, that farm to fork is farm to every fork, that everyone has the opportunity to succeed, contribute, and participate in the farm to fork economy in our region. And so Alchemist Kitchen programs are specifically focused on that. And so one of the other things that we do, it's not that because they're in Alchemist Kitchen, the co-op or farmers market's like, oh, that's great. We help create market opportunity. We actually help open those doors, and we have relationships with those entities. And so now you'll find, I think we have 12 different AKIPers who are currently at the Midtown Farmers Market. I think we have 7 or 8 who are on co-op shelves. We now have the opportunity to create pathways for new entrepreneurs with our farmers markets, that they're in a safe, structured environment that is coached by Alchemist CDC. So we have supportive communication. And so really making sure that not only are we providing the coaching and the structure and the continued business acumen and growth, but also helping provide those first really critical opportunities for market share.
Boy, the reciprocity in the cycle of business, not only the actual functioning of these businesses, but the economic development to start. Having a real estate agent to help you with the location, or having a former chef or a current chef who is operating and gets it and understands it. And we've got some really exciting stuff that's going to be coming up in a few minutes here that I can't wait to get to. But the collaborative part of what you're doing is so integrated as well. Share with us some of the partners that you work with often.
Well, I think we've already mentioned half a dozen.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
But we'll give them that shout out again as specific.
Absolutely. Well, as mentioned with Community Food Connections, Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services, and the Sac City Unified School District, both key partners.
Route 64.
Route 64 Farm in East Tahoe Park. River City Food Bank has been a huge partner of ours for years. They do incredible work at CalFresh EBT enrollment and applications. And so we send people constantly there. People see the CalFresh booth at the farmers market. They get curious if they're eligible, and we help point them to River City, who really does that work.
I mean, Sacramento County EMD, we have a remarkable relationship with the health department. They are incredibly supportive of our work because we lean very heavily into making sure that our food entrepreneurs are certified, properly trained, are working within really making sure that they're knowledgeable of EMD policies and procedures. And so they're a wonderful partner. I love to they get such a bad rap, so I love to give them a shout out when we have the
Good,
opportunity.
Sacramento area bicycle advocate, Saba.
Saba.
Saba's an amazing partner.
They pop up once a month at the Meadowview Farmers Market to do free bike repairs, their Ride Ready Repair program. And they're now beginning to do that once a month at the Rancho Cordova Certified Farmers Market. And it's just really beautiful to bring the bikes and the farmers market together. That's just a small sampling.
And we do collaborations with a variety of other organizations when the opportunity presents itself. Food Literacy Center was one of the partners in launching Community Food Connections. There's so many different ways and opportunities to partner. Habitat for Humanity built the new fence. It's out of the Oak Park Art Garden that's currently under construction.
That's
that's so much of who and what Alchemist is. And I think that goes back to the Community Development Corporation too, is that we don't have to be all things. We don't have to do all things, but we really like to be a collaborator and an initiator of activities in the communities where we're working.
You've got so many opportunities, and food is essential for everybody.
It's the great unifier.
That's right, especially over that table eating.
It's going back to the Micro Enterprise Academy and the volunteer experts who come in. One of the beautiful things about that to me is we're connecting the participants in the program to experts beyond our organization.
Yes.
We don't want them to become, dependent on our organization as their sole source of information and expertise. We want them to have those relationships, to know who else to go to, because we don't need to own this. We can't own it all. There's too much work to be done, but there are people who want to help, who have that expertise, and we can connect them. And, the collaboration, Meadowview Certified Farmers Market came up, but just the level of interrelation between these programs and these partners is incredible. I know we talked about a lot of programs, but that is one example to tie them all together. It's a weekly farmers market during the warm months of the year, creating food access. It has the CalFresh and Market Match access for the Meadowview community that doesn't have a grocery store. But it is also an incubation place for many businesses who've gone through our Micro Enterprise Academy. Yeah. They're getting their start because they don't have to pay a vendor fee to be there. So they're learning how to sell at a farmer's market, and it's a benefit to the market. We have other businesses coming in who are learning about Micro Enterprise Academy and signing up. We're purchasing food from one of the core farmers of that market to distribute through Community Food Connections. So it helps incentivize them to come to a smallish farmer's market where they may not have the top sales every day. And it's getting that food that was picked yesterday onto the table of some of the most vulnerable families in Sacramento.
Yeah, that's just a beautiful scenario, all enveloped. And that's just in one place. You've got 4 of these happening around town, which, again, bubble up to somebody like Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services. Where their recognition of it is the ability to share it with others in other spaces where maybe this doesn't exist. So, now I have to ask, how do you pay for all of it? Because there is the funding question.
That's the multi-million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Literally.
What does it look like? Yes.
Historically, we've been really grant dependent. We have a great team of grant writers on our. We have folks who are really successful with that. We keep really great records, and we report those records, so we see a lot of return grant funding as well. We do worry about that, the level to which we have depended on grants in the past. And so we're working now to cultivate our individual donor base. That does exist, but it's not one that we have historically done the most to activate. We're also looking at opportunities to generate revenue on our own. There are some exciting opportunities right now and coming down the pipeline for us where we are going to be able to create some of that because we are increasing the grant environment has its struggles. I think that everybody's aware of at the moment. And, one of the issues with an organization like ours that is doing so many programs any one of these programs could be separated out and be its own nonprofit. But a funder will give one grant to one nonprofit in a year. And so we're doing a lot of work and, facing those sorts of funding challenges with grants where the grants just aren't sufficient.
Unrestricted, folks, unrestricted.
Unrestricted.
We
That
all
is
need
the
that.
word
We
of
need-
the century
we need
right
that
now.
flexibility, exactly, right now more than ever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Unrestricted is so important. I mean, and it is essential to the long-term viability of any nonprofit organization is unrestricted revenue. It is essential. And we are existing in a world where the availability and in our environment, we have a lot of nonprofits in the greater Sacramento region. And unrestricted income and donations there is a cap. There is a limitation on how much unrestricted funding is available in our region. And so being creative about the relationships and having the diversity of programs that we have, we're starting to have conversations with some of our larger organizations in town that do larger grants that are more foundational grants as opposed to the rigidity of a state or federal grant where the foundational grants, there's a lot more flexibility. They are often unrestricted as long as they are still mission focused. And so really being able to show them that we are meeting deliverables within their grant priorities in a variety of ways through a variety of programs. It's bringing us to the table in a new and different way. I chuckle. Sam and I chuckle about this. I'm the first actual development titled paid staff member this organization has ever had. Our program managers have done the lion's share of working with senior leadership in the organization to fund the individual program operations for over 21 years now. And so to move into a more centralized funding capacity, it's a big shift for our organization. It's a big shift for our team and how we do what we do. And so, but it's really exciting because there is so much untapped potential. I mean, was over 180. I think we had 183 individual donors who participated with Big Day of giving to Alchemist this year. I mean, that's great. It's untapped potential. Many of those are not regular individual donors. And so we're very excited about what we have the potential to do in 2026 and engaging and bringing in more individual donors to our work.
Well, and the programs that you've got have that potential for self-sufficiency,
Yes.
which is a beautiful thing because you can look at a variety of different ways to make that happen. And my mind's going a million miles a minute too to say, okay, what about? Not for this conversation, but I could see that, in terms of the opportunities that you have. And you've now taken that burden of grant writing, so to speak, or the development burden of community interaction and talking and all that time that it takes away from program people who now can devote more to the program.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That is the goal. Always. Absolutely. And I think, for us to, my guess is this is potentially going to lean into your next question because we haven't gotten
Which I
there,
can't
but
wait to get to because this is the
yeah,
fun one.
everybody is talking about throughout the nonprofit community, and I have no doubt that this has been conversation with other guests that you've had on as well, that getting creative with the diversity of your funding and how you are operating your organization and looking at long-term sustainability is essential. And so we have spent a lot of time over the last year and are continuing to spend more time formalizing and really maturing in how we identify as a fundraising organization, putting together, making sure that we have a donor bill of rights, making sure that we have our information about our investment policy statement that is organized and set, and that we have plans to develop and make sure that we can bring in other types of investments into our organization now through investments, through all types of new platforms, and really starting to diversify how we allow and welcome folks into our supportive pool, basically.
Right.
And we have to. And that comes also, like you said, with sustainable operations, our farmers markets, through the stall fees, through, our Alchemist Kitchen, through rental expenses. And, and that leads us into our exciting new realm, which is employment social enterprise and direct revenue opportunities through the work that we're doing.
And today it's about $1.5 million budget-ish with 34 people?
That'd be right, yeah, for the programming.
For the
overall.
program, yes.
Yeah.
We've got
Not capital or anything like that,
Sure.
which I'll let you get to
Sure.
in
Yeah.
just a second.
Yeah.
Because the next question is, your vision has already started, which I think is so cool. Most people I'm talking, well, it'd be great if. But if there was an unlimited budget, and I know it's not, but if it was,
Mhm.
what would it look like? And then you can kind of pare it down to what's happening, because you have something in this space that's been a dream and a vision since you came on board, and it's about to be realized. If I'm not mistaken, did I see like August 2025, something's happening?
It feels like something's happening right now all the time. But
Maybe that was the
we're-
original intended
so
date
that was
of
the
something.
original intended date. We are in permit review
Got it.
right
Okay,
now
okay.
for Alchemist Public Market, which really
there it is.
it's Alchemist Public Market, and I'm gonna turn this right back over to Sam, because Alchemist Public Market would not exist were it not for Sam's vision and being brought on to this organization as our executive director 5 years ago, now our CEO. But
Yes.
this really is something that he has brought to life and has, in my opinion, is really what has catalyzed this seismic shift in who we are as an organization, and the legitimacy and the validity that Alchemist CDC now has in the conversation around food stability, food access, and creating a dynamic food system in our region.
So Alchemist Public Market, really the concept was conceived within a month of my joining Alchemist in 2020. I worked with Jacob Sachs, our Alchemist Kitchen program manager, and he pitched me early on. That program was new, it was young, and he said he could already see that we would need a commercial kitchen someday. There's a space he was looking at, saying like, it'd be a big leap for us, but can we get there? And it really got the wheels turning that, yes, we do need a commercial kitchen, but what if we are going to invest that kind of money into owning something? Can we actually bring all of our programs into one place? Can we merge them and let them flourish in a small sample of everything that we do? And so, we, after years of work, we are going to be building Alchemist Public Market in the Sacramento's River District, just above the rail yards, right above where the soccer stadium is supposed to go. And this is going to be really anchored by an all-electric commissary kitchen that can support 40 to 50 small businesses, affordably producing their food legally for sale.
And I know SMUD is involved in that in some way, shape, or form, I'm sure,
We
to
have-
make sure that you get it all right, and maybe Shine Program Awards or something
SMUD's
to that
integrative
effect.
design team. In fact, I'm going to give Ryan Hammond a shout out.
Please do.
Ryan has been remarkable. The integrative design team, SMUD has been a remarkable partner on this
Right.
from day one, especially in regards to making sure that we are really pushing the envelope in regards to environmental sustainability and responsibility and how we're designing this site.
Mhm.
So it's been exciting to talk to them about this and to really work collaboratively with them on bringing this to life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And teaching the chefs how to cook electrically, because so many had been some concerned. Well, I can't. Well, here it is. You're going to learn. That's what you're going to learn, so that as you go out into the world, you now have an extra skill set that some may not, as
Absolutely.
an advantage.
Yeah, one of the many goals of this project was for it to be, as environmentally sustainable, as forward thinking in that regard as possible. And so, yes, we wanted to mitigate our own CO2 emissions, but also love the idea of having dozens and eventually hundreds of new food entrepreneurs who get that experience with an all-electric kitchen and go on when they build their own,
Mhm.
to realize that, I enjoyed that the kitchen was cooler and safer, But yeah, that's just the anchor of that project. That's on the back end, not available to the public, but the rest of the project really is meant to serve the community. We will have a cafe space that will include a corner store as a fully functioning mini grocery store that can accept WIC and SNAP.
Mhm.
So that store is really an incredible thing. It's the first shelf space for businesses in our program to get their product on a retail shelf. So you'll have gourmet pickles, but you'll also have the staples that somebody needs with their WIC benefits.
Mhm.
And that's integrated into a larger cafe that'll, we aim to be a great cafe serving the community, that will be powered by a workforce development team that I'm sure we'll circle back to
Yep.
to discuss. And then all of that will have an outdoor courtyard, heavily shaded, prepared for the different seasons, but that will be ringed by multiple food trailers and food pods, which are effectively small individual restaurant kitchens with vending windows. All of these will be all electric as well. And these will be spaces in which those people going through our incubator program who want to have their own trailer or food truck or brick and mortar restaurant can actually get their start doing that direct service with the public, build their brand, learn how to do it, build sales data so they can get their own loan and move into their own space after a few years. And then, as I mentioned, that surrounding a courtyard, ample seating, tables, a small children's play area that is designed to be fully inclusive. So children who are assisted by wheelchairs, children with a wide range of abilities will be able to enjoy that fully. And then we'll host weekly farmers markets, bringing that program in, regular night markets, regular programming, community movie nights outside, Republic watch parties, just so many opportunities at that space.
Don't even know what you're going to be exposed to once you get it open and how much demand. You think it's big already. Wait until it starts. But what a neat self-contained ecosystem of Alchemist. It is the full 360. And what comes out of that is the offshoot into already a proven concept for somebody to go and run with it.
Correct.
And that's, I mean, that vision, people say, yeah, that's a great idea. Cool, Sam. Now figure out how to do it. The good news is it's done. It's about to be built.
Oh, yeah, it is very much moving forward.
Yes.
The momentum is,
Yeah.
it has a life of its own.
You're not just talking about it saying, well, we got a capital campaign started. It's done. It's funded. You are rolling.
Yes, after securing 2 major grants, one from the U.S. Economic Development Administration, one from the state of California through what was called SURF, Community Economic Resilience Fund. It is now called California Jobs First. Between these 2 grants, we funded the project, and it got to that point where, okay, we have this in hand, and now we need somebody to run this. So that's when we brought in Shannin to actually take the lead on moving it from the phase of funding to construction and eventually opening.
So we're hearing a dream come true is what we're hearing.
We are. So I interviewed Sam in probably, I think, early 2021 for Edible Sacramento. I do some freelance writing.
Yes.
When we were done, we went off the record and I looked at him and I said, I'm going to be part of this someday. I don't know how, but this is amazing. And it was still just, it was a dream. He hadn't applied for grants yet. And I was like, this is remarkable. I want to be part of this. And here I am. And I'm so grateful. But Alchemist Public Market is going to be a truly transformational space, not just for Alchemist CDC and our programs, but for how food is integrated into not just everything that we do, but into building communities, into rebuilding and redefining the river district and the rail yards, and to be at this stage of our development as those communities are also in this kind of enlightenment period for their own development is incredibly exciting. We know we're going to have a pretty hard lift in the first couple of years that we're there and really deliberately programming and bringing people to the area. But I think you're right. I think we get 5-7 years out and we have a new hospital and we have a stadium and we have, more activation in the river district, that we're going to see that Alchemist Public Market naturally becomes this heartbeat of that community. One of the things I'm most excited about at Alchemist Public Market is that we're really leaning into the Community Development Corporation aspect of what we do through WIC and EBT at the general store, the corner store. There is no grocery store that is available to the residents of the River District. And, Mirasol Village is a block and a half away, huge SHRA county and city project, state of California project. Over 80% of the folks who there are living income adjusted in those, and over 50% of them are transportation affected. And there is no place in the community for them to use their food benefits. And so we're going to be able to do that. For the incubator businesses who will be moving in and creating leases in the pods and the trailers, we're working with River City Bank to actually put together a subsidized small business loan program, what a remarkable opportunity. River City Bank has a really wonderful small business lending opportunity. It's very low barrier to entry, but through collaboration with Alchemist CDC and our California Jobs First grant opportunity, we're able to use some of the interest to create a secured account to actually do secured lending for folks who may have a slightly lower um, FICO score than they
Mhm.
typically lend to, or who may need a slightly larger loan than they typically do for their small grants. We'll be able to subsidize those for small businesses who are incubating at Alchemist Public Market. And so it's really us starting to dip our toe into how can we create more structure and pathways to empower these entrepreneurs to further success. It's not a grant, it's still a loan, there's still a repayment, but it's something that's being done in a way that there's some safety net still built in and there's coaching still built in. It's facilitated by Alchemist through our relationship with River City Bank, which we all want to see succeed. So there's going to be additional support and experts who are working with these businesses at every level to make sure that they succeed and to help them be as successful as possible with those funds. So many new things are developing. And that's why we're leaning now into economic development being this realm that Alchemist Kitchen lives in, because Alchemist Public Market is now moving us into very squarely that economic development realm where we
Yes.
are working in funding, we are working in, really starting to work with our incubator participants in a much more, in a deeper way. In fact, one of the things I think I'm excited about the most is that this will really be for a lot of our incubator participants their first time executing a formal commercial lease agreement.
Mm.
And as opposed to doing that with just a general commercial developer or landowner or property owner, they're doing it with us. They're doing it with Alchemist CDC. They're going to be doing that with me and Sam, where their success is in our best interest, but also making sure that they understand the expectations and the reality of negotiating and navigating what is triple net, like what is TI, being able to navigate and ask those questions in a safe, supportive environment. And then we've been working with Turton Commercial Real Estate as well, and Kimio and Scott over there have been wonderful about agreeing to do one-on-one coaching and helping us sit down and navigate those conversations. And so as we've brought Alchemist Public Market to life, new kind of diversified partnerships with a lot more experts in our region in the farm to fork kind of food, restaurant, hospitality region are starting to come up. We saw an opportunity at Empress Tavern to launch a lot of the operations that we had planned to launch at Alchemist Public Market next year. So workforce development, bringing opportunities for training our small food entrepreneurs, in this case, in a beautiful, fully functional commercial restaurant where they get to learn about having their hoods cleaned and cleaning a grease trap and what's a Big Dipper and, the amount of work and effort and energy that goes into running a space of that size. And that this is some of our participants, this is their goal.
It's real.
It is
This
real.
is customer service. This is a real operating, functioning retail location you will get to experience. So you come through the program. That's one thing that's nice. You go do your thing. Works, doesn't work. Restaurants are really challenging. Now they get the experience of the challenge without having the liability of everything they own on the line.
Yeah, and they have a incredibly skilled and experienced culinary manager on site who can help coach them, help them learn how to menu cost, how to expand their menus. We'll be doing a lot of catering and private events on site, so they'll have the opportunity to participate in that, learn how to scale their operations, how to adjust their concepts potentially. We will also have an on-site site manager who can teach them how to create contracts and booking agreements and how to make sure that they are taking all the things that they're learning in our Alchemist Kitchen programs and putting them into practice and
Mhm.
putting them into practice in my humble opinion, one of the most beautiful spaces in Sacramento. So in a really exciting collaborative partnership, because we also have right of first refusal now for all private catering events at the Crest. And that the
Back to
learning
revenue.
opportunity, back to revenue,
Revenue.
100% back to revenue. Absolutely. And it's all business related revenue because we're
Yep.
doing workforce development. All of our menus feature farmers and vendors and food entrepreneurs from our farmers markets. In fact, I'm having such a blast with we're doing preview events right now through late summer and even heading into early fall. And it's so much fun to write these special menus and this menu features this many farms from our region who can be found at these markets.
Mhm.
And it's such a thrill. And, we don't get the opportunity in regular restaurant operations to really lean into that as much as any of us would like. I was in the industry for a very long time. And so, we get to be super deliberate at Empress about not only highlighting and featuring all of the amazing entrepreneurs and vendors and farmers that we already have the opportunity to work with. But now we're launching workforce development, and we're having one of the things that Sam and I are so excited about at Empress is that we have the opportunity to create a new standard of expectation for a new generation of workforce professionals in restaurant and hospitality. I spent 22 years in the industry. I had no health insurance. I had no 401k. It was toxic. I've had pans thrown at my head. Like, we are building an environment at Empress Tavern for workforce development where the employees will have pride in service again,
Mhm.
pride in the knowledge of their product, pride in participation in workforce development and being part of a mission-based organization, but also they'll be educated to know what a healthy workplace looks like, what an environment and a work environment looks like if it is a union house or if it is a mom and pop or whatever it is, but what it means to be respected, appreciated, valued, communicated with. And in an environment where they can not only be a service professional and thrive in a career, but also be well taken care of
Mhm.
and help shift. There's a lot of folks in our town who are slowly but surely leaning into that in a variety of ways. And we feel like this is our opportunity to really be able to create a whole new generation of restaurant and hospitality professionals, again, in the farm to fork capital, who see service in the way I feel like we used to see service, but also existing in a non-toxic, healthy, supportive environment. Like, it really, like, it's what's getting me out of bed these days.
Yeah. As a dream, I mean, if we said this in just a conversation, this is our dream. This is what it could look like. That would be phenomenal. Yeah, people would go, yeah, that's really cool. Good luck. And the fact that it's real, the reality is just around the corner. This is all happening today as we speak within months. That I think for people to get the vision and the understanding of what it is you're trying to convey, it's all right here.
Mhm.
It's in this dream package. I hate to take it back to reality right now because there is a reality. What, short of where we are, what is the greatest need you have today?
I would say that that's an easy one for me to answer. Our single greatest need is actually all the way tied back to our CalFresh at Farmers Markets program. In some ways, that program's a victim of its own success. It has grown so much every single year. The participation from customers, the number of transactions, the amount of money flowing through. I believe it was 2019. I think we saw around $700,000 in EBT and market match being distributed. Last year it was 1.44 million.
Mm-hmm.
This year it'll probably be 1.6 to 1.7 million, and it just continues to grow in that way. We used to be able to fund this work through a patchwork of small grants. We had a lot of unpaid interns at one point who ran this, and it was one of the first things we did in 2020, replace unpaid internships with paid internships, and now with just paid staff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very efficient program, but the costs have grown, and it's to the point where it's difficult as a nonprofit to be running a safety net program throughout the entire county and to be able to fund that through the existing network of grants. So we've actually been working and hoping to work more collaboratively with our various local government bodies. We believe there's a really great opportunity there because of the fact that this is a safety net program, which is delivering multiple benefits.
Mm-hmm.
It's helping stretch the budgets of our lowest income, most food insecure households so they can double their money at a farmer's market when they use their EBT benefits. They're eating healthier because that's incentivizing them to eat fresh fruits and produce. All sorts of benefits come out of that. And the money's going back into the pockets of local businesses and local farms. And they tend to reinvest it back in the community. So it's a triple win. And, I think this year we were looking at a $300,000, say, that we needed to raise to really fill the gap. And the program alone last year brought in $640,000 in market match benefits. Those incentives never would have come into our county without this program. They just don't exist unless you have a program to distribute them. And so just by that measure alone, every dollar spent brings in $2 of incentives. So we have the data, we have all the groundwork there. we've had a difficult time with a program that is maybe a victim of being so uncontroversial. You know,
Yeah.
everyone looks at it and says, "Oh, that's great."
Yeah.
And everyone kind of assumes that we'll just get it taken care of. And so that's one of our biggest needs right now is breaking through and saying that we're at the point where it's a drop in the bucket for, municipal budgets. But we need consistent support on this if this program is going to be able to continue to deliver.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's the ask. It's out there for people to be aware and to share and say, this is an important part of the community. We need this to continue for all the reasons you just mentioned. I knew this would be tough to jam into the amount of time what we've got because you have so much going on, and it's just so cool. You've got the wow factor of everything happening today, and it's so neat. What's the best way for somebody to learn about everything that's happening? Is there a single point source? Is it the website?
Yeah, I mean, the website is the best single point, and we're very active on social media. We are unusual in the fact that we have a lot of different social media channels, particularly because each one of the farmers markets has its own
Yes.
community that it serves, and so there's a lot of ways to actually follow what Alchemist is doing and to follow what is your interest and preference. Community Food Connections has its own, and so really being able to engage with us in a variety of ways. We have Empress Tavern has its own website and its own social media. So if that's what interests you, you can start following us there. And of course, you can always reach out to us at info at alchemistcdc.org, and that will get to any one of us. If you have a question about our programs or services, wanting to get involved, wanting to donate potentially a significant amount of money from your estate, we're happy to have that conversation.
Endowment, even if you want to set one up
Endowments are
happily.
lovely. We love them. But you used the word when we were off there earlier about what we're doing is cool, and I think it's fun. What we're doing is exciting. What we're
Yes.
doing is dynamic. It is. We are not a static organization, but I do think I speak for all of us when I say that we don't need any more growth.
Yeah.
We're good. But
Well, you are the epitome on the nonprofit side of the farm to fork movement. And that allows you to blend so many different angles in so many different ways because it's such a part of Sacramento.
Yeah.
So if you send me, I'll get all those into the show notes, the variety of different handles for social media. And the website is alchemistcdc.org.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll have that in there as well because if people are listening, driving or something, they're, what was that? What was that?
right.
That's meant to
absolutely.
be our intro. It's difficult even for that website to keep up with everything that's
Well,
happening.
yeah, I can imagine. You need all these subsets or landing pages just to take you to the next thing.
Absolutely.
I want to see the time lapse, build out of the public market.
Yes,
as
it's
it
coming. We're
goes.
talking to folks. It's
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, you have to have that. That's
Yes.
just so cool. Something taking place in the River District.
By the time this comes out, that probably will exist. So.
Good.
Yep.
Good. Well, we'll
Maybe
make
up.
sure we'll make noise about that too if that's the case. Well, and you said the word. I have it in my closing notes here too. What you're doing is just so darn cool. I knew we would have a challenge getting it all integrated into the conversation, but what you're bringing to the community, the way you're working with so many people with such a topical and, well, what's the word I want to use? The progressive element of Sacramento is the food movement. And you're right at the forefront of it in so many different ways. I saw the renderings of the public market. It's hip. It's what it should be. It's what we expect of Sacramento. And that will fuel all that other activity around it once it's under construction or completed. So for what you guys are doing, for the way that you've got the team, the way that you're integrating so much for the neighborhoods in need, for the under-resourced, for those who are wanting to get into the space from a retail restaurant side of things or a food production side, it's just amazing. Thank you for all of it. And I can't wait to get to eat some of it or taste some of it or see some of it in some way, shape, or form.
Can't wait to have you out.
Yep. We'd love to have you there.
Thanks for the time today. I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you for listening to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If what you heard moved you, please reach out to that organization and do what you can to help. If you like and appreciate what we're doing to support local nonprofits, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share. If you're a nonprofit with an interest in participating in an episode, you can reach me at at hearmenowstudio.com. Once again, we're grateful for the businesses who have made this program possible. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. You can find them in Sacramento, Roseville, and Folsom, captrust.com. And Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. westernhealth.com.